These protests will change absolutely nothing with these ICE arrests. A bunch of cows and liberals protest ICE arresting violent criminals in the state of Colorado. Let's check it out.
Immigration policies. Brandon, what are demonstrators saying?
Well, you know, many of those protesters very upset with ICE. They're especially upset with President Trump and his immigration policies, and specifically those mass deportations. Now, I'll step out of the way so you can see what this crowd of protesters looks like right now. This is no longer hundreds of people. This is at least a couple of thousand. A couple of thousand protesters have been in.
Did these people protest when Laken Riley was murdered, or Jocelyn Nungaray when she was raped and murdered by illegal aliens?
In and around the Colorado State Capitol throughout this afternoon. This crowd has thinned out just a bit, but still a massive crowd here outside the Capitol. At times, some of these protesters, hundreds by the hundreds, breaking off to protest and march down the streets of downtown Denver. Now, many of these protesters, they represent the immigrant community, some of them children of immigrants, many of them just angry about the president's immigration policy, including those raids, those ICE raids that happened this morning in Denver and Aurora. Some concerned about families and children potentially getting caught up in those raids. Other protesters here represent the LGBTQ community, specifically the transgender community, which feels under attack with the president signing an executive order just this afternoon banning transgender athletes from women's sports. And really out here, it's a coalition.
Why is that controversial? Why are you protesting biological men playing in women's sports? I don't understand the logic behind people complaining about that.
Of people protesting President Trump and his administration. Here's what some of them had to tell us earlier.
But I think people are pretty angry. They're pretty tired of seeing things being eroded, our rights being eroded.
Trump doesn't have a mandate. There are people.
What rights?
That have that want to protect what we have in our country.
Beautiful how everyone's united out here, the different flags, everyone's protesting for their right, their cause, you know, on their values, and that's amazing.
The reporter should have asked this cow, one of these cows, what specifically this one, what right? Give me an example. What right? What is your cause? I mean, they wouldn't know how to answer that. But there are more cows coming.
Now, I saw just as many signs protesting billionaire Elon Musk as I did with President Trump. Many protesters told us they don't like this idea of Elon Musk having so much power. Many people wondering, well, who elected Elon Musk in the first place? Now, organizers expect this crowd to grow.
Okay, there's a response for that. The who elected Elon Musk saying, when people say, who elected Elon Musk? Who elected this guy? We didn't elect him. Stephen Miller has a great response for that.
The Democrat use of the term unelected is really quite remarkable here. Donald Trump was elected in an overwhelming landslide. These are Donald Trump staffers. In the sense, like saying that Mike Walls, the national security advisor, is unelected, or Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, is unelected, or Donald Trump's communications team is unelected. This is presidential staff that serves at the pleasure and for the president, just as I do. I am a staffer for the president of the United States. He is elected. He is the one the American people have chosen to implement his agenda. This is the agenda the American people voted for, that he is asking his staff, his subordinates, his employees to implement. The unelected power in this country is the rogue bureaucracy. USAID is unelected. The FBI that persecuted President Trump for 8 years is unelected. The CIA and those who have laundered intelligence to try to change the foreign policy of the United States are unelected. President Trump is restoring democracy by controlling the federal bureaucracy. There is one man in the country who is elected by the whole American people to implement an agenda they support. That is the president. Every other officer in this country, members of Congress and senators, are elected at the state or local level.
Let me ask you.
The Constitution puts one man.
Well said. Well said, Stephen Miller. I'm so sick of hearing about this. Nobody liked Elon Musk. Just be quiet with that nonsense, please. All right, let's go back to our programming here.
Over the next few hours, because they're expected to have this protest going on till 8 o'clock tonight, so they're expecting more people as they get off from work to come down here to the state capitol. We're live in Denver. Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
Oh, I'm disgusted by it. We were a very easy target.
A shocking scene unfolding this morning at the Cedar Run Apartments in Denver. Multiple agencies, including ICE, DEA,
She's an easy target.
and the FBI were involved in a massive Homeland Security operation. People were seen in handcuffs being escorted to a bus parked at the back of the street before protesters arrived shortly after. One tenant who's lived there for 14 years expressed her anger over the operation.
I was expecting this to happen, and not just because we do have immigrants here, but because this place has a reputation and its name has been put out there as if this is a dangerous place and whatnot, which it isn't, but I was expecting this to happen.
Denver 7 Chief.
These are the type of people that wear a mask when they're not sick. Look, for one, I'm going to avoid that right now, but anyway, these are the type of people that vote for these lunatics in office. They vote for people like AOC. They vote for people like Brandon Johnson in Chicago, the mayor of Chicago. They're the people that vote for Gavin Newsom. These cows right here, these 400-pound women are the ones who are the loudest. They're the most obnoxious, and they always scream about their rights are being taken when no guy would touch her with a 10-foot pole. It's always these big fat women, these big fat white liberal women who are the loudest. And they're going after the primary targets are violent criminals, and there might be some collateral damage in that. ICE has talked about this. Tom Homan has talked about this. There might be collateral damage. But these women are the worst of the worst, in my opinion. These are the type of women that wear a mask. They wear masks. They wear shields over their faces. They protest everything. Like, they scream, "You're taking my rights away," this and that. These are the worst of the worst, in my opinion.
And whatnot, which it isn't, but I was expecting this to happen.
Denver 7 Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski continuing our team coverage tonight at the Whispering Pines Apartments in Aurora.
Tony, you've been following this operation all day. What's the scene like there now?
Well, this is generally ground zero of one of the major operations today. Let me paint a picture for you where we are in Aurora. We're south of Colfax. We're east of Chambers, and what we saw here shortly after sunrise was a major operation. They had shut down about 4 square blocks, several law enforcement officers here. But a different story here from what we heard from Brandon a little earlier in the newscast, because we talked to neighbors and they welcomed the police opportunity.
It's been horrible. It's been really horrible.
With his pet lizard on his shoulder, that's how Eric Swank described his neighborhood before he woke up to find federal agents swarming this apartment complex.
You know, I got 13 grandkids. I got 4 children. You know, we walk by here every day, you know, and they're scared to come out of the house.
Within an hour, he watched as 8 men left the apartment complex in handcuffs, arrested by federal agents at the Whistling Pines.
Sure, wouldn't you be scared to walk outside if you see these guys hanging out in an apartment complex? I mean, who are these people?
Apartments, a location that has been known to law enforcement for several months.
No, I feel glad that somebody's finally doing.
I mean, look at that. I mean, it does. I'm not. You see these men just showing up out of nowhere. They're just showing up, hanging out at apartment complexes, doing who knows what. I mean, you have grandkids, you have kids walking by, teenagers. Like, who are these strange men just hanging out at this complex? I mean, They're just keeping the community safe. That's all ICE is doing.
No, I feel glad that somebody's finally doing something about this place.
What do you say to the federal agents that were here this morning?
I say, well, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work.
These actions were targeted operation focused on violent criminal aliens, TDA members, and those who are a threat to our public safety.
The acting special agent in charge of ICE said the multi-agency task force targeted bad guys who have left a mark in recent weeks and recent months.
I can tell you that one of the folks that was arrested was a fugitive from the country of Chile. He is a known TDA member, and he was wanted for kidnapping and extortion from another country.
In recapping the more than a half dozen operations throughout the metro area, Tim Lenzen said he's not judging the operation based on numbers alone.
I want to measure the success in the impact that we have on the community. Our focus is public safety. We are targeting those people that are threats to public safety. So if we can make this public safety safer by targeting those individuals and removing them from the street, that's what we're going to do.
Will there be more in the coming days?
We'll get back with you on that, Tony. Guys, thanks a lot.
You know, there will be.
That's all the time that...
So there you had perspective from a resident.
Okay, so like you say, he doesn't want to base the success off of numbers alone. I know there are a lot of people who want these numbers to be astronomically high, which is, I get that, and Trump is not happy right now with numbers. We've stopped getting updates on the daily number of people being arrested. But if you, I know it was up to 1,000 at one point a day, and then it's maybe dropped down a bit to 700-800, which is much more than what Biden was doing. But if you go to a specific community and you, let's say you go to a city and a population of 10,000 people, and you arrest 12 violent criminals, murders, rapists, people who committed assault, robbery, all kinds of things. You just made that community safer. You made that town safer. You go to an apartment complex and you arrest 8 individuals, for example, out of here who may have been causing some trouble. Yeah, the number may not be that big, but the amount of crimes these people will have committed or have committed is large. So yeah, if ICE arrests 1,000 criminals, violent, 1,000 people in a day, and then 700 of them are violent criminals, that to me that's a success. Yeah, more work needs to be done. They need funding and things like that, but you need to look at each individual being removed from a community. When I see these updates, when I see ICE posting that they just arrested somebody in Dallas, they arrested somebody in Fort Worth, I'm like, that's one less person off of the streets. That's one more person off of the streets, and it has made Dallas Fort Worth a lot safer. When I see them posting stuff about an arrest in Houston by somebody who was dealing some kind of, dealing fentanyl or something, or human trafficking, or whatever the case may be, Houston just got safer because that one person is now off of the streets and being processed to be removed from the country. So yeah, I'm going to leave that right there. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Thank you. Take care.